July 24th, 2011. A summer party at Kreuger Memorial Park in Michigan City, Indiana. Hundreds of young people gathered in the dark to celebrate, socialize, and enjoy the last stretch of summer before life moved on. Among them was a 17-year-old recent high school graduate named Keisha Hodges-Hawkins. She had plans, dreams, and just 4 days later, she would have turned 18 years old. But before the night was over, gunshots rang out, and Keisha collapsed to the ground. What happened next would haunt her family for years, because despite the massive crowd, despite the fact that people saw what happened, almost no one spoke. No arrest, no justice, no closure, until Keisha's father decided that if the system could not solve his daughter's murder, he would force the truth into the light himself. This is the story of the murder of Keisha Hodges-Hawkins and the father who refused to let her be forgotten. Before she became the center of a murder investigation, Keisha was simply a teenager trying to begin her adult life. Her full name was Keisha Hodges-Hawkins. Friends and family called her Keisha. She lived in Michigan City, Indiana, a community along Lake Michigan near the Illinois border. In the summer of 2011, Keisha had recently graduated from high school. According to her family members, she was excited about the future and looking forward to the next stage of her life. Like many teenagers her age, she spent time with friends, attended parties, and enjoyed being around people she trusted. No one close to her could have imagined that within days, her life would be over, or that her case would become one of the most talked about unsolved murders in the area. On the night of July 24th, 2011, people gathered at Kreuger Memorial Park in Michigan. The park was known as a place where young people sometimes met late at night during the summer. Reports later indicated that there were dozens, possibly more than 100 people present that evening. The atmosphere initially appeared normal. Groups talking, music playing, cars parked nearby. But at some point during the night, an altercation broke out. Investigators later determined that gunfire erupted during the chaos. Keisha was struck by at least one bullet. Panic spread immediately. People began running. Some fled the scene before police even arrived. When emergency responders reached the area, Keisha was critically injured. She later died from her injuries. She was only 17 years old and just 4 days away from her 18th birthday. From the beginning, investigators knew something important. This was not a murder without witnesses. There were many people present. The shooting had occurred in public. Police believe multiple individuals knew exactly what happened. But according to reports from investigators and later statements from the family, cooperation was limited. Witnesses were reluctant to provide information. Some refused to speak entirely. Others reportedly claimed they did not see anything. For Keisha's family, the silence was devastating. They could not understand how so many people could witness violence against a teenage girl and then remain silent. The investigation slowed dramatically. Weeks turned into months, months turned into years, and still no arrest. As time passed, public attention faded. Like many homicide cases involving young victims, the initial media coverage eventually slowed down. But for Keisha's family, nothing had changed. Every birthday, every holiday, every family gathering was a reminder that she was missing. And worse, that the person responsible remained free. By 2012 and 2013, the case had effectively gone cold. Law enforcement continued investigating, but without strong witness cooperation, progress was difficult. The phrase "no snitching" was frequently discussed in relation to the case. In many communities, fear of retaliation keeps witnesses silent. And according to Keisha's father, that silence was protecting a killer. Keisha's father, Kalvon Hawkins, refused to accept that his daughter's case would remain unsolved. For years, he continued pushing for answers. He spoke publicly about the pain of losing his daughter, and he repeatedly urged anyone with information to come forward. But after years without justice, frustration turned into determination. Kalvon believed people in the community knew more than what they were saying. And eventually, he decided to confront that silence directly. Around 2016, Kalvon Hawkins began using social media to publicly discuss the case. One of his Facebook Live videos gained significant attention. In the emotional live stream, he pleaded with the public for information regarding Keisha's murder. He spoke openly about the years of pain his family had endured, and he criticized the silence surrounding the case. The video resonated with viewers. People began sharing it across social media. Community conversations reignited. The case, which had largely faded from public discussion, was suddenly receiving attention again. And according to later reports, the renewed attention generated new tips for investigators. Not long after the renewed public attention, investigators made progress. In 2016, police arrested Charles Guerin in connection with Keisha's murder. At the time of the arrest, Guerin was 21 years old. Authorities alleged that he had been present during the shooting in 2011. For Keisha's family, the arrest represented something they had waited years to see: movement, hope, and the possibility that justice might finally happen. The case eventually went to trial. Prosecutors presented evidence connecting Charles Guerin to the murder of Keisha Hodges-Hawkins. Witness testimony became a major component of the proceedings. For the family, the trial forced them to relive the events of July 24, 2011. Years after losing Keisha, they were once again confronted with the details of her death. But this time, there was finally accountability. In 2017, Charles Guerin was convicted. He was sentenced to 50 years in prison for murder. After more than 5 years, Keisha's family finally received justice. The murder of Keisha Hodges-Hawkins became more than a local homicide case. It became a discussion about witness silence, community responsibility, and the growing role of social media playing in the criminal investigations. Many people pointed to Kalvon Hawkins' persistence as a key factor in keeping the case alive. Without his public advocacy, some believe the case may never have been solved. His willingness to speak publicly, pressure the community, and keep attention on Keisha's story ultimately helped generate the momentum investigators needed. Keisha Hodges-Hawkins should have had the chance to become an adult. She should have celebrated her 18th birthday. Instead, her life ended in a crowded park surrounded by people who initially chose silence. But her father refused to let that silence win. And after years of fighting, justice finally came. Not because the case was easy to solve, but because someone refused to stop demanding answers.